In this video, I am going to teach you a very simple but a very useful old-time carpenter trick. I'm going to call it a trick. All the old-timers knew this. All the old-timers did this when the situation warranted it. I learned it from an old-timer named Bob, and I've mentioned Bob before. He's mentioned in my video the most useful carpentry trick that I ever learned. If you haven't seen that video, you'll want to see it. It's worth watching. It's worth learning that trick and developing that trick. So I'm going to explain this trick right here. It's called hand measuring. And once you get used to it, once you understand it, once you get used to it, you're going to find applications for this, and it's going to help you to be more efficient at what you're doing. And I'll explain that. But first, let me just say, hand measuring is knowing a few key measurements of your hand. Everybody's hand is different, but of your hand, and putting those measurements to use. So let me just show you what I mean. The first hand measurement that you want to measure on your hand, and remember so that you can put it to use, is the distance when your hand is spread out like this between the end of your pinky finger to the end of your thumb, stretched out fully. On my hand, it's 9 inches, just about exactly 9 inches. The next one that I have learned and that I use is the peace sign, stretched out as far as I can get it. It's 4 inches. It's actually a touch more than 4, but it's 4 inches, all right? And then there's 2 more that I know and use. The 7-inch is the distance between the end of my thumb and my pointer finger, like that, all right? 7 inches. And finally, right here, my thumb. My thumb is just about exactly 1 inch wide. Those are the 4 measurements that I know and use. If you only use a couple, remember a couple, that'll still serve the purpose quite well. Once you've learned those measurements, you'll be surprised how often you can put them to use, practical use. Obviously, you're not going to do trim carpentry with hand measuring. You're not going to measure long studs for framing your house, things like that. But there are applications. For example, I was recently running wires in my crawl space here under this addition on my house. And I would run the wire over, and there was a hole to go up to the electrical box. And I needed 26 inches of wire. I had the whole roll in the basement. I ran it over to the hole that I was going to put it in to get it upstairs, and I needed 26 inches. Well, I didn't get out my tape measure. I just went 9, hard to do holding it up in the air, but 9, and you can kind of inch your finger along, 18, 27, that's pretty close to 26, and then I would cut it there, give it a couple more inches. And that worked. I didn't have to get out my tape. I did it faster than I just showed you right there. Another measurement, I'm going to throw this in here, not to confuse you. I don't think it will confuse you, but there is another measurement that I often use. It's from my elbow to the tip of my finger. It happens to be 18 inches. You can use that too. I use that if I want to measure a door. Like, is that a 36-inch door or a 34-inch door? Well, I can put my arm right up against it like that, and I can figure that out. Granted, I need to point this out. Old carpenters generally can look at something and say, well, that's about 8 inches long. You know, after a while, you do get the eye. You can look at a board, you can look at a piece of pipe, and you could say, well, that's about 14 inches long. That works too. But still, this idea will come in handy for you. Here's a piece of pipe. I've been running PVC vent lines. I got a vent for every trap going up through the studs on my interior walls here. So I need a piece to go between 2 elbows, let's say, and it needs to be 12 inches long. So instead of pulling out my tape, I can look at the pieces of pipe I have. I can take my hand, I can measure along there. I got 9 and I got 4, right, just like that. That's 13 inches. Hand measuring, it's 13 inches. It's actually 12 3/4, okay? That's how it works. You can get close enough to know. This piece right here, got the 7-inch measurement going right there. I can just pick that up. I don't have to pull out my tape. It's 7 inches, all right? This one here is, I got the 4-inch measurement here with the peace sign. and I got another inch. I got another inch on that, so it's about 5, I would say. That's 5 3/8. Okay, so you can get pretty close. Sometimes you're exact, sometimes you're not. This is the last one, a piece of pipe. I'm gonna do the 9-inch. I'm gonna hold my hand there, and then I've got less than 9. It's about an inch less than 9. So I got 9 1/8 is what I'm figuring. 17 inches. And there we go. It's 16 15/16. You can get pretty close. The more you do this, the better you get at it. You can use it for all kinds of applications. I use it for gardening, for spacing plants, spacing rows. I've actually shown this in a video. So your assignment is to get your hand measurements and just start measuring things by hand. Give it a try, develop the skill. If you're with a group of people, like-minded people, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and you got a bunch of pieces, short lengths around, it's lunchtime, hey, you can have some fun. How long you think that is? And you can, you can measure it out. Everybody gives a guess, and then you measure it and find out. Yeah, that's kind of fun. The only thing more fun than that is when you get a bunch of guys around and you start talking about accidents and showing your scars. That's more fun, granted, a whole lot more fun. But measuring, that's fun too, and it's a useful idea. Remember it, use it. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Thanks for watching. If you thought this was a good idea, a good trick, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that, and I'll see you in the next video.